Quantitative easing seems to be the word on everyone's lips once again. Joining me in the studio to discuss his insight on monetary policy at the moment is David Smith. David, thank you for coming in.
It's a pleasure to be here again, thank you.
Excellent. Now, could you tell me your current take on QE at the moment, please, David?
Well, I think QE has been in a holding position for quite some time. Everyone has been observing the economy, hoping it will recover, but the fundamentals have never been there for a real recovery. We're now looking in America in particular at QE3 being launched. If we take the latest minutes from the FOMC meetings, it indicates fairly clearly that sometime in September we will be seeing another round of QE.
Now, even if QE is sort of implemented by the Fed, there is suggestion that it won't be on as huge a scale as previously. Do you think it will be enough to make some impact on the market?
I think unless QE is done on a very large scale, it is going to have very, very little impact on the market. The simple reality is every time QE has been done, the first time the market reacted very favourably to it, the second time the result was much more minimal, and the third time, unless it's on a very large scale, it will probably have very little impact at all, and it is probably even priced in large measure in today's situation. I think as well what is very interesting is the latest debacle in America between Mitt Romney and the head of the Fed, in as much as the Mitt Romney campaign has been saying that they would not want to have QE3 and they would want to change Mr. Bernanke. Now, if we look on the other side of the scale, we have Mr. Obama, who would love to have QE3 and no doubt would be willing to keep Mr. Bernanke. Now, if I were Mr. Bernanke running a central bank, which of course is not at all political, I would still be slightly tempted to take the option of supporting the guy who would leave me in my job.
There has been the suggestion that further QE will have little or no help in regards to Treasuries. Do you think it would have a positive or a negative impact on bonds, David?
Well, I think if we look at the purpose of QE and all these other financial injection of money, the principal effort behind it is to try and ensure that interest rates remain low and there is some kind of demand for bonds. For me, the bond market at the moment is in slow disintegration. If you look globally, not necessarily uniquely at the States, you have the category of bond of countries which are increasingly insolvent, where the interest rates are getting so high that you're not going to you're taking a huge risk if you buy them. And on the other end of the scale, you're seeing situations like in Switzerland and Germany and other countries where not only do we have zero interest rates on bonds that are being issued, but people are actually having to pay for the pleasure of owning those bonds. Now, if you take that and you roll it forward, you try and think what that is going to do to people's pension plans, where 7% annual growth is built into the plans, and a core part of those plans is to have a significant bond portfolio. If your bond portfolio is performing completely negatively or a very high risk investment, then what is going to happen to pension plans in the future? And if you take the last step to that is, well, if the returns go to almost nothing, have you seen any banks or any pension companies coming forward and saying, we'll not take any fees or we'll take negative fees for a few years to help you along the way?
Now, with regards to the fiscal cliff, what are your fears and what do you think will happen with regards to that?
Well, it's a bit of a false drama, I think. I could be completely wrong on this, but basically the fiscal cliff exists because no one wanted to take any decisions or face up to any responsibilities. When it actually breaks is going to be after the election, at which point we'll see who is the president, we see what they decide to do. But I find it very, very difficult to imagine that they're going to take such drastic measures as to cut massively, let's say, the American military at a time when they are in a phase which has been more expansionist than they've been for many years. They're presently interfering, the US anyways, interfering in internal matters in Africa, in Syria, and currently between Japan and China. So they can't do that by halving the size of the military.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the global situation. All eyes will be on September's meeting from the ECB to see if any, they will take. What are you expecting from this?
Well, again, I think if you've observed everything that's happened over the summer, and now that people are coming back from holiday, all they're doing is having a group of talking heads trying to keep the market distracted and think that something is happening, when in reality absolutely nothing is happening at all. If you look at the biggest threat to the system, which seems to be probably Spain, because Greece is in some way containable, the real crunch in Spain is not going to come till October, when they have got huge bond issues to try and meet. And in the meantime, they can play any game that they want and tell any lies that they want, consistent with their past track record.
David, thank you very much for your insights, as always, very interesting.
It's a pleasure to be back. Look forward to it again.
Thank you. Now that's all we have time for at the moment, but we'll be finishing the week with a collaboration interview with Lajafi looking at Islamic banking. For now though, goodbye.